For those of you who don't know me, I am an unprofessional body reader. This is straight up my first time watching Khabib's press conference after the fight, and I'm going to do it in real time starting now.
Let's wrestle! 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 Let's wrestle!
Khabib, congratulations on your victory tonight, but as I'm sure you're aware, the story is really about what happened after the fight, unfortunately. Can you tell us in your words what caused you to jump over the cage and to go after
Okay, he's waiting to say something. It's not even clear that he's listening to the question. He's straight up waiting to say something rehearsed that he has already planned, regardless of what the question is. What are you doing in the background there? This does not concern you. Can you please go watch Moana with your brother?
I stubbed my toe.
Okay, get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, okay, fine.
What's up, guys? How are you? First of all, I want to say sorry to Athletic Commission.
First of all, straight into it. Wasn't even listening to the question. He had something on his mind. He was going to say it regardless. Now he's saying it. His apology, I presume. Start with sorry.
Nevada, sorry, Vegas. This is not my best side. You know, this is not my best side. You know, I'm human being. And I don't understand how people can talk about I jump on the cage, you know. What about he talk about my...
Okay, this is not my best side. It's interesting. He doesn't say this is not me. He says this is not my best side, which means it's part of him, just not his best part of him, by his own admission. It's a very interesting way of phrasing the question. Then he goes straight into what we call the whataboutism, where he's going, okay, I did something bad, but what about what Conor McGregor did? Incidentally, I love Conor McGregor and I love the trash talking and it's fun and it's good for the sport. I do think it went over the line with this one. If you haven't seen my reading the body language video of Conor McGregor and Khabib at their press conference, there was a lot of stuff I skipped just because it was so over the top and so, not even controversial, it was just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Rude, insulting. It crossed the line in terms of trash talking. When you talk about religion, politics, culture, family, I think those things generally cross the line. So I didn't even include that in my body language because I didn't want to get into those types of comments and I didn't want to get into that discussion in the comment section. So I agree with Khabib that McGregor was over the top in a bad way, not in a good for the sport kind of way with his trash talking. But let's hear it.
He talk about my country. He talk about my father. He come to Brooklyn and he broke bus. Why people talk about I jump over the cage? Why people still talk about it?
There is a linguistic barrier here, so it's not fun to play with the words, but it's a diversion and a deflection. Why are people still talking about the fact that 30 minutes ago he jumped over the octagon after winning and nearly instigated a riot in the Las Vegas? Where were they fighting? I don't know where they were fighting, but whatever. Why are they still talking about that? That's all they're going to be talking about for a long time, which is why it's so regrettable that the fight ended that way, but let's go on.
I am respect. My father teach me, hey, you have to be always respectful. My old team, where I'm training California 7 years, everybody know who I am. They tap machines. You know, I told you guys, when you put him wrong way.
It doesn't help when you have your head being cranked by somebody who's made of steel, apparently. By the way, that submission was phenomenal. And I don't think you're a tap machine to tap to save literally your jawbone and your neck, but whatever. He did call it. And they did tempt each other to wrestle, and they wrestled, and Khabib crushed it.
Let's wrestle! 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 Let's wrestle!
Belt is here. Undisputed, undefeated UFC lightweight champion, and you know, and I want.
There's an expression: success leaves clues. Khabib is leaving a lot of clues because he is undoubtedly phenomenal, undisputed, undisputable. And in fact, if there's a rematch, having seen the first fight, there's no question I'm putting my money on Khabib. I'm going to do a separate fight analysis to break down the fight, but man, if there's a rematch, I'm putting my money on Khabib. Having seen what I've seen, there's no question in my mind. I love McGregor. Khabib is a bigger, stronger, better fighter. Sorry.
Come to something like this is respect sport, you know. This is not trash talking sport. This is respect. So like I told you before, guys, I want to change this game. I don't want people talk about like opponents, talk about his father, like religion.
My 2 cents would be I agree with everything Khabib is saying. Trash talking has to have certain limits, but if you want to change the sport, you don't jump over the octagon after defeating a man to start a fight with his training partner, and you certainly don't have members of your team hop the octagon to sucker punch someone in the back of the head who had just been savagely crushed in the octagon. So if you want to change, you start with the man in the mirror. Why do I know that?
Thank you guys. Thank you for waiting for me here. I know my father gonna smash when I go home because
Who is that, Daddy?
I know he's gonna smash. I know my father gonna smash when I go home because I know he's gonna smash me.
First of all, from the eyes, I genuinely believe that he feels bad about what he did. He looks genuinely remorseful, maybe regretful because he knows that he's going to get sanctioned, but I think he just generally feels bad. It was a moment of absolute over-the-top madness, and it got the better of him, but let's just see where he's going with this.
Here, Nevada, sorry. Vegas, sorry.
Okay, that's a moment of absolute sincerity right there. You can see it in his eyes that he feels as though he disappointed his father, that he knows his father is going to be angry with him for what he did. The eyes change. They look sheepish. They look a little, there's a little bit of shame. You could see there's a sense of guilt and a sense of shame in his eyes right there because he believes that he disappointed his father. That's a moment of pure authenticity right there. He's genuinely regretful for what he did, and he looks regretful because it looks like he knows that he will have disappointed his father in some respect.
I know my father gonna smash when I go home because
I know he's gonna smash me.
thank you so much.
Khabib, can you talk about the fight before the brawl?
Well, not much to read in there except for the fact that he was angry. He regrets what he did quite clearly. There'll be some argument as to whether or not he regrets it because he thinks he's going to get sanctioned, suspended, potentially stripped of his title or fined. But I think that that is genuine remorse and genuine he didn't live up to the standard he set for himself. What I think is going to come out of this, I think Dana White is actually going to enact protocol for trash talking. There's going to be certain things that are going to be off limits and out of bounds, period. There's going to be a code of conduct for what you can and cannot say, the limits that you can and cannot cross. And I got to tell you, I'm not about government regulation, I'm about self-regulation, and I think this is an incident that is going to bring about some self-regulation in the UFC, because I do agree that there has to be a limit to the trash talking in the UFC, because it's one thing to go beyond the octagon, but when you start bringing things in it that are passionate issues that have impassioned people for eon, family, religion, politics, you know that you are bringing the fight well beyond the octagon, and not just for the fighters, but for the spectators as well. So let's see if Dana White enacts some protocol for this. Incidentally, this is a new channel now, VIVA MMA. There's going to be a video once, twice a week. Whenever something good happens in MMA, this is the excuse I have always been looking for to make videos on MMA. Now I get to order pay-per-view fights, and it's research, it's marketing research, it's a business expense. Booyah. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell your friends, tell your family. I've got two channels, Viva Fry, which is my main channel, and Viva MMA, because this subject matter I don't think is entirely family friendly, so I wanted to keep it separate from my main channel. But who knows, maybe this will become my main channel. Viva MMA, booyah.